They say some stories don't fade with time, they live in the soil, carried by the wind, whispered by rivers that have seen too much. And among such stories, one name is still remembered, Amara, the village chief's daughter whose heart defied the borders drawn by skin and tradition. Hers was a love the elders tried to silence, yet it still echoes across generations. This is not a tale of fairy tales and easy endings. It is a story of courage, pain, and the quiet kind of love that changes people, and sometimes, entire villages. If you enjoy journeys like this, stories that remind us who we are and where we come from, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be here when the next story is told. Now, let's return to where it all began. The village of Ndlovu lay between two great hills, surrounded by forests that breathed with life. At its heart ran a river, calm and deep, where children played, women washed, and elders came to sit in thought. That river was more than water, it was a keeper of memory. And it remembered the day a new world came to Ndlovu. The first white men arrived when the rains were still heavy. They came with wagons and flags, with strange clothes and voices that cut through the air like the cry of a bird no one had heard before. They said they came for peace. They said they came to bring civilization. But the elders of Ndlovu were not fools. They saw the way the soldiers carried their weapons, the way the traders looked at their land. Chief Obesai, ruler of Ndlovu, welcomed them with caution, the way a man greets a snake, knowing its beauty hides danger. Among the visitors was a young man named William, son of a colonial officer stationed at the nearby outpost. He was not like the others, his eyes carried curiosity, not arrogance. He moved quietly, always sketching, always observing, as if trying to understand a world his own people did not respect. And then there was Amara, Chief Obesai's only daughter. Amara was born under a restless sky. Her mother used to say the thunder that night was the ancestors arguing over what destiny to give her. She grew up with the same restlessness, curious about everything, bold in ways that made the elders shake their heads and whisper that she thought too much for a woman. While other girls practiced weaving or pounding yam, Amara followed her grandmother to the storytelling gatherings, listening to tales of the old world, of spirits, of freedom, of pride. She listened, she learned, and she questioned. Why must women always stay behind when men go to speak? Why can we not see the world beyond the hills? Her father loved her dearly but feared her spirit. He wanted her to marry a warrior from a neighboring clan, a union that would strengthen alliances and secure peace. But Amara's heart was not one to be given away like a gift. She wanted more. She wanted to know. It was the dry season when fate crossed her path with Williams. She had gone to the river alone that evening, carrying bright fabrics to wash before the festival of harvest. The sun had started to fall behind the hills, painting the water in gold and crimson. On the opposite bank, William was sketching the scene, the trees, the reflections, the village roofs catching the last light. He looked up, and there she was. For a moment, the world paused. He didn't understand why his breath caught, or why the sound of the river seemed to hush around her. And when she looked back, not with fear, but with curiosity, he felt something shift within him. They didn't speak that first day. They only looked, long enough for both to remember. Then Amara turned and walked away, her anklets jingling softly like a promise. But the river remembered. Days turned into weeks, and somehow, they found each other again. Sometimes by chance, sometimes by design. A walk to gather herbs. A sketching trip near the fig tree. A glance across the water that became a meeting by its edge. Words came slowly. William spoke in broken local phrases he had picked up from his interpreter. Amara laughed at his pronunciation, and he laughed too, not out of pride, but because her laughter was the kind that healed something tired in him. He told her about his homeland, about cold winters and oceans and machines that roared louder than lions. She listened, fascinated, and told him of her own people, their customs, their dances, their stories. It was innocent at first. Curiosity meeting curiosity. Two worlds trying to understand one another. But hearts are rarely content with curiosity alone. Amara started to dream of him, of his face near the river, of his voice echoing between trees. And William began to wake before dawn, his mind filled with her image instead of his duties. He tried to fight it. He told himself it was wrong, that their worlds were not meant to mix. But each time he closed his sketchbook, he saw her in every line he drew. Love, once planted, has no fear of rules. One afternoon, a storm gathered quickly over the hills. Amara had gone to fetch water before the sky broke open, but the winds rose faster than expected. She stumbled as the rain began to fall, and through the blur of the downpour, she saw him, William, running toward her with a cloth over his head. They took shelter under the fig tree, both laughing breathlessly. The rain beat around them, wild and unrelenting. When their eyes met, something unspoken passed between them, that electric, dangerous moment where hearts stop pretending they don't know. The rain became their witness. From that day, they were no longer strangers. But secrets in small villages never stay hidden. The women at the river began to notice. The guards who patrolled the forest whispered among themselves. And soon, the chief's advisors brought word to his ear. At first, Chief Obeisai dismissed it. His daughter, proud and untouchable, consorting with a foreigner. Impossible. But when he saw her return one night with her wrapper wet and her eyes shining like the moon after rain, he knew the rumors were true. The confrontation came quietly, but its silence carried the weight of thunder. Amara, he said that evening as the drums from the men's gathering faded in the distance, the people speak. They say you walk with one who is not of our blood. She stood tall. They speak truth. Her father's jaw tightened. Do you know who these people are? They are the ones who take what is ours. They do not love this land. They will not love you. She did not look away. He is not like them. Every snake begins as an innocent movement in the grass, he said, voice low. Do not be deceived. He ordered her to stay within the compound, to forget the boy, to forget the river. But Amara had her mother's heart and her grandmother's courage. And love had already taken root in places no gate could hold. At night, she would sneak out through a narrow passage in the wall, guided by moonlight. The river waited. And William was always there. They spoke of impossible dreams, of a world where love was not weighed by color or custom. They spoke of fear, of hope, of what it meant to belong nowhere and everywhere at once. Each meeting was a borrowed moment. Each touch, a defiance. But the river that remembered also warned. Its flow grew restless, its songs turning heavy. For every love that blooms against the will of the world eventually answers. And soon, it did. One night, a young boy, the son of a guard, followed Amara from the compound. He saw her meet William beneath the fig tree, saw their hands clasped beneath the stars. The next morning, he told his father what he'd seen. By midday, the whole village knew. And before sunset, Chief Obeisai's heart was broken. He did not rage. He did not shout. He simply sent for his daughter. When she stood before him, he spoke with the calm of a man fighting a storm inside. You have brought shame to our blood, he said. The ancestors weep at your disobedience. You have chosen the path of outsiders over your people. Amara's eyes filled with tears, but her voice did not tremble. I have chosen love, Father. A heart does not ask permission to beat. There was a long silence. Then he said, from this day forward, you will not cross that gate again. The river will not see you. The white man will not touch your shadow. He turned away, his face carved in grief. Amara's mother tried to speak for her, but the chief's decision was final. That night, the moon rose full and bright, a mocking witness to two broken hearts. William waited by the fig tree until dawn, but she never came. The river kept his reflection company, and for the first time, he understood what it meant to be on the wrong side of a border he could not see but could feel in his chest. But love does not die in silence. And though the chief's daughter was kept behind walls, her heart was still wild. What she did next would change everything, not just for her and William, but for the village of Ndlovu itself.